Hi, in this video I'm just going to discuss the Dell Precision M6700 and the 7740. I have a 6700 and I've recently upgraded to the 7740, and I'm just going to show you the physical differences, and I'll also do one test, a rendering test of a 4K video file. Just having a look at the 6700. This particular model was available in either an i5 or i7. So the one that I have is an i7. I will show you the specs when I boot up the laptop, but just to show you here the RAM and the option of two different graphics cards. I had the AMD installed. In my laptop, I had upgraded my drives along the time of use, so these do not apply. I'll show you when I boot up the laptop. Looking at the 7740, you can see that it's available either i5 all the way to Xeon. I have an i9 installed, which I'll also show you. The memory also 32 gig, but the clock speed's much faster. And then in the one that I have, the disk drives are NVMe, and they are class 40 and class 50 respectively. Now there have been models in between these two, but I waited for the 7740. Those who know the Dell Precision range will see that this is the latest model, and this is the old M6700. So these are at least 5 years apart. This I got in 2012, and this I've got just recently, and we are now in 2019. So what's the difference? Is it worth upgrading? And I'll just show you the physical aspects of it and the connectivity. And I'll just do one or two rendering tests just to show you the difference in the processing power, and then I'll close off. All right, so first thing is first, this is the M6700, a real workhorse. Honestly, the best laptop I've ever had. Right, just quickly giving you my opinion on this one. My pet peeves were it's very square-like. It would catch when I put it into my bag. It would catch on the side. You can even see, look at that wear over there. Sometimes you would do an upgrade on it. You might change the RAM, and this thing never seated properly even when installed correctly. The battery I changed more than once, and even when I bought the top of the range lithium ion, it was still very poor. The battery life was very poor, and even when I bought a new battery, it lasted well for the first few months, and thereafter its performance dropped significantly. I didn't like the feet here. What you would find is it would slide on the table. If you look here, this foot is gone, and now it is slippery when you put it on the table. So other than that, I give this a 9 out of 10. This is a workhorse. I've done graphic rendering, I've done CAD, I've had this connected to 6 monitors. This was a workhorse, outstanding laptop. It came with the AMD Fire Pro graphics, and yeah, it had a few bugs along the way, but ultimately I have not found anything that can compete with this. So what about the new Precision? Well, let me give you my thoughts on this so far. All right, just having a look at the mass of the old unit. 3.94 kilograms, very heavy laptop. And that one had no optical drives, it was all SSD. And the new laptop, 3.38 kilograms, a fair amount lighter, but still this would fall into the heavy category of a laptop. So in this case, the new one is better because it is lighter. Right, looking at these back to back, you can see the new one is thinner than the old one. And when I flip it around, you'll see it is significantly thinner. So you can see there, significantly thinner because the new one is angled. Right, having a look at the front, you can see the M6700 had a button, and you could release the lid. It actually locked in place like that. As you can see, it doesn't have such a thing, so that one has no button to release it. The new one has a battery light on the front here, whereas the old one does not. All the lights are on the left hand side. On the old one, you had the status lights on the left hand side, power, battery, and disk reading and writing. And this was very useful, especially for people who docked the laptop and kept the screen closed. For example, you could see if the battery was depleted, it would start flashing orange, and you could see if the laptop was on or even charging. So the new one does not have this, and I feel like this is very important, which is left out on the new one. Now, just having a look at the interior of the units, you can see the old laptop had a width of 41.5 centimeters. The new one has the same width. However, the difference is the keyboard is a little bit narrower. So if I measure the keyboard, you'll see it's 34.5, while on the old one, it was 36.5. Something else that I feel is missed is these actual buttons. You see volume up, volume down, and mute. That for me was very important. On the new one, there aren't any hardware buttons. Here, if you want to do the volume up, volume down, you've got to press the FN and then try and locate the volume up, volume down. This I feel is a fail. That they should have put hardware buttons for the volume up and volume down. The power button, yes, on the top right, same as the old one. The placement of the speakers is a bit different. The new one is here at the bottom. They're just over here, while the old one is on the top rail over there. Right, now I have them facing each other, and what you will notice is there's a significant increase in the pad area, the touch pad. So you can see there your finger pad is narrower here, while here it's much wider, and then also these buttons are wider. And while we're here, you can see there's display lights here. There's the battery telling you that it needs to be charged, would flash orange. There's your signal, your Bluetooth, and your disk read and write. The new laptop unfortunately does not have that illumination. All right, I'm going to quickly show you the side profiles in terms of the ports, and then I'll show you a performance test. Right, left hand side on the Dell Precision M67, there was your USB, I think that was the Firewire, mic, headphone, status, SD card, and your DVD writer. On the new one, you've got your USB-C, C, SD card, and these run in tandem in order for your high performance dock, which I'll also show shortly. Then tucked away right here, you do have a card slot over there. Right, looking at the side, here you have your USB with power share, USB, display port, wireless on or off. On the new one, you've got your headphone jack, USB with power share, USB with power. There's a vent, and there's just for your lock, your wedge lock. Right at the back here on the old one, there was the power, there was your eSATA for an external drive, there's your HDMI, VGA, Ethernet, and then just your air vents. Right on the back of the new one, there you've got your HDMI, no VGA, you've got a mini display port, your Ethernet, there's your USB with power, and then your charging port for your power supply. There are your vents. Right, one of the things I noticed on the new one is the hinge. The hinge is much narrower than on the old one. I've had a lot of laptops that eventually snapped on the hinge here, and it's been a problem. I'm not saying this one is going to do that. It's just that I noticed, look, it seems very stiff. You know, that's quite nice. So the monitor part of the laptop doesn't just fall back, but that stiffness, I'm worried about eventually wears this out, this bracket, or if it gets bumped, will it be able to withhold 5 years worth of use? Now looking on the M6700, you can see, look how long this hinge is, and it seems to be an alloy, and I have not had a problem, keeping in mind that I've had this for 5 years. And these laptops, you can get an extended warranty for up to 5 years, so that means that this laptop should last you that long. Alright, one last thing I'll show you here is the docking. You see, if you want to dock it or port replicate it, here is a port replicator or a docking station. You can see these were the older ones, and this was the top of the range, and I really like them because what you'd do is you'd bring your laptop and you would dock it. And different laptops you could adjust for different sizes. You can see this thing was variable, and there was the power button. You see I've actually just switched it on, and to remove it from the dock you would eject it and take your laptop. I really liked that option. It was very stable and it sat on my desk. Even when you bumped the desk there was no problem. Right, as you'll see on the new Precision, there's no place here for a docking bay. The docking system works with the 2 USB-C connectors which plug in the side there. So far it works fine. I've been playing around with it and it does offer me my multi-monitor support. What I don't like is this. I find that, you see there, that little shift, you see there, it's not quite out but not fully in, sometimes gives me an issue with my monitor. So this has to be in properly, and then you can't bump this thing. Why is that important? Because now you want to plug something into the dock and you pull it a little bit, and then there it's just happened. You see, because this thing is movable, so when you're plugging things in, just make sure you keep this in one place. You could even stick it down on your table, because this is a bit of a problem. Now in terms of the power supply, this is the new one, much nicer in terms of its size, smaller, also rounded, and this is the old one. You can see the old one is a block-like, the other one is curved. Fair size difference, but still a big power supply, both at 240 watts. Right, I'm just going to boot them both up. Now, if you're wondering why it's taking so long to boot, this is the default settings. I know you can go in the BIOS and make changes to make it boot faster. So these are both matched in terms of settings. They're both on the regular boot option. Okay, they both have the backlit keys. All right, just to show you, this had a i7-3740QM at 2.7 gigahertz. It's also got 32 gigs of RAM, but you can see the clock rate is only 1,600 megahertz. The disk that I'm going to be reading and writing to, I have upgraded this from what was originally here. This is a Samsung SSD 850, so I don't think there's going to be a problem or bottleneck here. The only bottleneck is going to be the GPU and CPU when I do a 4K render. Now, just having a look, this is the graphics card, is the AMD FirePro M6000. And then what I'll do is I'll try and do a CPU only test so we can compare CPU to CPU. All right, so I've got the same file on both laptops. All I'm going to do is I'm going to render it. I'm going to say render as. I've got the internet 4K at 59.94 frames per second, and just so you have a look at the template, so I'm going to render this now. Okay, and let's see how long that takes. While that's busy, let's look at the other laptop. Okay, this particular one is the i9-9980HK, CPU 2.4 gigahertz, also 32 gigs of RAM, but keeping in mind the clock rate much faster there. And then the discs, well, these are the NVMe. I don't think there's going to be a problem here with these discs either. These are class 40 and class 50 NVMe's. Right, so I've got it here. I'm going to now try and just render to the CPU only. And the reason being, if you look here on this side, the graphics card is not doing any of the processing. This is rendering via the CPU alone. So this is kind of comparing CPU to CPU. You can see it's still busy there. All right, so let's get going here. I'm going to say render. And there you can see the AMD GPU barely working, and the Intel UHD graphics also barely working, and there you can see the CPU is what's doing all the crunching. Look at that, that's at almost 100%. Just by the way, I can disable one of these GPUs. It doesn't make much difference to the test. If you're wondering what the consumption here as well, it still has to show us the monitor, the display, and that's why it's got some percentage shown here. So you can see the i9 is significantly faster than the i7, obviously. And with that improved memory capacity in terms of the clock rate, also makes this much faster. Okay, significant difference there. On the new laptop, 2 minutes 40, while the old laptop, 3 minutes 50. Right, if you're wondering about the software, yes, this is Vegas Pro 15, while the one on the new laptop is Vegas Pro 16. Don't be fooled. I've done tests with 15 versus 16. The 4K rendering doesn't have any difference between the old program and the new program. I'm not going to be comparing the graphics GPUs. This is a much older one, the Fire Pro, and the newer one is significantly faster than the older one. In fact, the fastest I've got the same video to render is less than a minute. 50 odd seconds, and I have a video just showing that. But now, more important is, how do these laptops sound? Okay, so I've got some music queued up here, and if you're wondering about the screen, the one seems a little bit cooler white than other, you can change those. So this was my laptop for many years, and I set the background the way I wanted, more calming on the eye. You can set them. This I think is actually an LG display. When I bought the laptop, I think I ticked that, and you can set all the color parameters on the display. So now let's listen to the audio. And then just testing with female vocals, that tends to test the dynamic range of the speakers. if you're wondering what this is an SPL meter. It measures the sound pressure level. Okay, just to conclude there, the new one definitely much louder, the old one better sounding. Alright, so I'm going to spend the next few months using the 7740. I can't say if it's an amazing laptop as yet because I'm only just starting to use it. I'm saying goodbye to my M6700, an outstanding workhorse. Another pet peeve I have with the new one is no memory stick on the left hand side, and some people are left-handed, some people are right-handed, and I'm somebody who generally puts on the left here, and that's quite annoying, whereas the old one, connectivity wherever you are. Alright, so that's probably sounding very negative. Obviously the new one is rapid, it's lighter, it looks more modern, it's got a slightly thinner bezel, but keeping in mind this is definitely ain't a modern looking laptop. Still got a very fat bezel, it's got a nice debossed label here, and overall the keys are nice to press. Very neat laptop. I'm going to use it now, just showing you it is considerably quicker than the M6700, and if you're in the market for a 17-inch laptop, so far this is pretty rapid, and the reason I say that is because I do a lot of graphic intense work. There are very few laptops that come with the top of the range NVIDIA or AMD graphics cards. Alright, so thanks for watching and cheers.